Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a very interesting lesson. Today, we are solving the GCE paper for biology, the full paper for paper 1. So, let's begin. So, we have the first question. It says that a student used a light microscope to observe onion cells. The power of the ocular lens was 10 times and the objective lens was 20 times. The magnification of the onion cell is. So to calculate the magnification provided with the ocular lens and the objective lens, we have the magnification should just be equal to the ocular lens times the objective. So what do we have? We have a 10 times magnification times we have a 20 times. So when we multiply this, we have a 200 times. So the answer for question 1 will be D. The second one, what is the correct level of organization for the skin? So if you see the skin, the organization, we are just talking about the level at which a certain thing is. So the skin falls under an organ. The skin is an organ. For question 3, we have the following diagram shows the setup to demonstrate osmosis. The V-skin tubing represents the plant cell. Then we are asked to say which setup would demonstrate plasmolysis. Now, plasmolysis, we should understand that it is the process by which water moves away from the plant cell. So it's moving from the V-skin tube, inside the V-skin tubing to the outside. So the V-skin tubing represents what we call the cell membrane because it allows some items to enter while others do not. So now, having considered that, we are going to say, since we are looking at where plasmolysis will take place, we are looking at the process in which water molecules will move out of the cell. Having considered that, we are going to look at where there are sugars from the outside. Since water molecules will follow sugars, then inside there should be distilled water. So from all these options, the only option that would cater for this is our A. Our A there is sugar outside, meaning to say the water inside here will move to the outside. So our correct answer is A. That's where we have sugar solution. If you look at D, we have sugar in both. This one is an isotonic solution, meaning to say the net flow will be inside and outside, which will not cause plasmolysis, but plasmolysis will be caused by A. Looking at our 4, which of the following shows the correct region of action and conditions for enzyme trypsin? Now, if we look at trypsin, our textbook, the knowledge that it provides is that trypsin is mostly permanent, found in the duodenum. So it's after the stomach. Now, in the duodenum, due to the secretion of bile, which causes an alkaline solution, so the correct answer would be the duodenum and an alkaline solution. Now, looking at the options, we only have the parts of the small intestine, which is the ileum. So there is some digestion that occurs in the ileum. So we are going to go with the ileum. The condition is that it has to be alkaline due to the bile salts that are secreted. So the answer there is B. So let's look at question 4. We are told that 4 solutions were tested for the presence of protein, starch, and glucose. The following table shows the results obtained. Which result shows the presence of proteins and glucose but not starch? So let's identify. So let's just eliminate. So, but not starch. So automatically starch, we know that the test for starch is that it has to be blue-black. Now, if starch is not present, it has to be brown. So the answer is either A or C. Now, when we look at the burette test, it is the test for proteins. The test for protein will produce the color purple. lilac, mauve, one of these options. Now, since we only have purple, so the correct answer here is C. And the Benedict solution, which is the test for reducing sugars, will have orange, brick red. So the answer here will be a C. Let's go to the next question, which is our question 6. We are told which of the following nutritional disorders can be caused by lack of calcium in the diet. Lack of calcium. Calcium is a chief component in forming the bones. So the only disease here, constipation, no, that's roughage. Heart diseases, no. Scurvy, that's vitamin C. So the correct answer here is rickets, weak bones and all that. Then for here, we are on question 7. It says that the diagram shows the shape of the cells in the section of the leaf. So if we look at this, we have H, I, K, J. Then we are asked which cells contain chloroplast. So one thing is that I, no matter what, I must be there. I must be there. So I is the palisade cells which contain the numerous chloroplasts. So it's either it's I. So the options, the correct options, okay, I is there everywhere. So we have I. H, which is the upper epidermis, there is no chloroplast there. So H is not an option. So this one is not an option. A is not an option. Let's look at our B, I and J. I and J, which is our guard cells, there is chloroplast there. I, J, and K. So the best answer here is should be C. So our J is the guard cell. Oh, sorry. Since J is the guard cell, unless if they pointed maybe one of these areas which might represent the lower epidermis, but since J is the guard cell, in the guard cell there is no chloroplast, unless if it's the lower epidermis. Since there is no chloroplast in J, the correct answer would be in I, which is the palisade, and K, which is the spongy mesophyll. So the correct answer is D, I and K. Moving on, we are on question 8. The diagram shows the structure of rhizopas. So this is the structure of rhizopas. Then we are asked, identify the labeled structure L and M. So our L and M. So if you look at M should be the sporangiophore. So without any dispute, if M is the sporangiophore and we only have one option, the answer is A. You will realize to say even L is the hypha, which corresponds to our choice. Moving on to our next question, which is our 9th question. We have the diagram shows a molar tooth. Then we are told which two characteristics in the diagram could be used to identify the tooth having. So if you look at this one, so these are called crowns. The crowns. So now if these are called crowns, the crown is here. This is the crown. Then where it enters the gums, that's what we call the roots. So having identified that, what can we see? We can see two roots. This one is a root, this one is a root. So automatically we should have two roots. So the answer choice is either a B or D. Now let's eliminate further. So we have a sharp chisel. No. For a sharp chisel, we are looking at the canine. So the correct answer for this one is D, because ridges are not sharp. It's this part, something that looks like this. This is a ridge. When we talk about a chisel, we are looking at something like this, which corresponds to a canine. For this one, the correct answer is a D. Let's look at question 10. So for our question 10, it says that which of the following is an energy-rich carbohydrate stored in the liver and muscle tissue? So if we look at this one, rich carbohydrate stored in the liver. So now, many of you might think that it's glucose, which is not correct. Glucose is not a storage form. It is a monosaccharide. So glucose has to be converted into an insoluble form. Now, if we look at the liver and the muscle cells, these are animal cells. The storage form of glucose in animals is glycogen. So the correct answer there is glycogen. Let's look at question 11. Which of the following is the characteristic of emphysema? So emphysema is an more like one disease that is caused by smoking. Now, what does it do? It attacks the gaseous exchange of the animals, which is the destruction. It causes the destruction of the alveoli. Let's look at question 12. Which of the following elements has a great role in energy storage and transfer in living organisms? So from just this question, we can identify to say it's phosphorus. Now, why do I say phosphorus? So if you look at phosphorus, it is one storage form which is found in ATP, which is a molecule that is used to release energy. We also have phosphates are even found in DNA, so it is used in the transfer of genetic information. We also have phosphates in many other things such as NADP. So all these are characterized under the energy storage and transfer. There are a lot of them. So the correct answer there is phosphorus. If we look at 13, which of the following diseases is caused by schistosoma? So schistosoma is nothing more like sometimes they'll use schistosomiasis, which is just a fancy way of saying bilharzia. So for 13, the correct answer is bilharzia. Question 14. What type of immunity do babies obtain from mothers through breastfeeding? Now, since these are mothers, automatically that's natural. So the answer is either C or D. Now, since it's from the mother and it's being passed down, it means to say it's passive. So the correct answer will be natural passive immunity. So the correct answer is a D. Let's look at the next question. Question 15. We are told that the diagram shows the stem of a plant whose bark has been removed. So now, we are told that how is transport in plants affected? So the bark, the way the tree is made, it's outside there is the phloem. As you go inside, there is the xylem, meaning to say if you remove the outside part, you are removing the phloem. Now, if you are removing the phloem, it means to say you are inhibiting the transfer of small substances such as glucose and amino acids. Now, from where? From the site of production. Where is the site of production? The leaves. So they will fail to move from the leaves to, let's say, the roots. So our options should have those. So which option? So we have amino acids and sucrose cannot pass to the leaves. No, that's wrong because that's where they are produced. Amino acids and sucrose cannot pass to the roots. This one is the correct answer. So if they are talking about water, that's the xylem, and of which they are not found in the bark of the tree. Let's look at question 16. We have the diagram shows the blood and its composition. Which component of blood represents the phagocytes? So if we look at the phagocytes are white blood cells which have got a lobed, which have an amoeboid nucleus. This nucleus with this unusual shape. So this one is the phagocyte. So our correct answer here is D. let's look at 17. Which chamber of the heart would be first to receive nicotine absorbed into the blood in the lungs of cigarette smoker? Now, if you look at the way the heart is, so from the lungs, where does it go? It goes to the left side of the heart first. So the left side of the heart, it will be received by the left atrium, since the atrium is the one that comes then to the ventricle. So the answer is the left atrium. So from the lungs, we have the left atrium. Moving on to question 18, we have the question says the diagram shows a kidney and blood vessels associated with it. So we have X, Y. Now we are told we have vessel X contains more urea than Y, vessel Y contains urine, vessel X contains more oxygen than Y. Then we are told which statements 1, 2, or 3 are correct. So if we look at this question, we need to identify. So this one is going to the vein. So we have, it's going to the kidney. So this is the renal artery. The one that is leaving, we have the renal vein. So if we have those options, now the thing is that X, since it's going to the kidney, it has to contain oxygen. So X has to contain oxygen and more urea. Y has to contain less urea. So let's look at the options. Which ones are correct? Vessel X contains more urea than Y. Vessel X contains more urea, which is true because it's going to the kidney for purification. So option 1 is correct. Then let's look at 2. Vessel Y contains urine. Vessel Y contains urine, which is wrong. Urine goes here. So this one is a vein, it carries blood and not urine. So this one is wrong. So vessel X contains more oxygen than Y. Vessel X, since it's going to the kidney, it has to contain more oxygen than Y, which is correct. So the correct option is that it has to be 1 and 3. So the answer is B. So our answer is B. Question 19. What changes take place to the diameter of the arterioles near the skin and urine production in the kidney when core temperature of the body increases above normal? So when the temperature increases, so what happens to the arterioles? The diameter of the arterioles is that they have to increase. Why are they increasing? So that more blood flows. When more blood flows, more heat is lost. Now, due to the fact that more blood is flowing to the artery, it means to say urine production also has to decrease. The urine production has to decrease since the blood is constantly flowing, and also there is sweating, so urine production has to be reduced. So that means to say there should be an increase in the diameter of the arteriole, but a decrease in the urine production, so that more blood or more liquid stays in the body. Question 20. Which substance increases the sugar levels when the person is frightened? So the key term here is frightened. So since we are talking about fright and fight hormone, and we know to say that's an adrenaline, other options might be correct for different cases. Now, since they have used frightened, meaning to say when someone has fear, the correct answer for this one is adrenaline. For question 21, the diagram shows part of the human brain. Which part controls breathing rate and regulates blood pressure? So for this one, if we look at this one, B is the hypothalamus, which doesn't do anything in that sense. A is the cerebrum. C is the cerebellum. So the correct answer for this one is the brain stem, which is also known as the medulla oblongata. This one is the one that is responsible for breathing rates and regulating blood pressure. So we are on question 22. 22 says, which part of the ear contains the smallest bone in the human body known as the ossicles? So we have the eustachian tube, inner ear, middle ear, outer ear. Now, the ear, on the first part of the ear, we have, so analyzing the options, we have the inner ear, middle ear, outer ear. So let's look at the outer. Outer ear is made up of the pinna, and also the pinna. We also have the auditory nerve. That is what mainly constitutes to what we call the outer ear. Now, as we go inside, we have the ossicles, which are made up of the hammer, spindle, and the stirrup. So these are found in the middle part of the ear. In the inner part of the ear, we have the cochlear nerve, among other options. So the correct answer for this one is the middle ear. Then we are on 23. Which of the following pairs of bones form the hinge joint? The hinge joint, what is it? The hinge joint only rotates about 180. So this type of bone is one that is even found on the elbow joint, for example. So the elbow joint is made up of the humerus and ulna. So the correct answer for this one is B, not these others. Let's look at 24. An experiment on the growth of a young plant shoot was set up. So now, the direction of the sun, we have the aluminium foil, which is there to prevent the sun's ray from reaching like that. We have the shoot. So now, looking at the direction of light, it means to say the growth response will be towards the sun. So the only option that matches that description is option B. Looking at 25, which of the following regions of growth in roots involves an increase in the size of the vacuole? So now the increase in the size of the vacuole, since we are looking at increase of the size, it means to say more and more have to merge. The only thing that refers to increase, it's what we call cell elongation. So the correct answer here is, for 25, the answer is C. 26, we have the diagram shows a section through a dicotyledonous seed. Which structure produces most of the nutrients needed for the seed to grow after germination? So after germination, which structure provides most nutrients? Which structure provides most nutrients needed for the seed to grow after germination? So after germination, this seed is unable to photosynthesize. Therefore, what do we need? We need some something that stores energy, of which we call, so this is the tester, this one is the radical, this one is the radical, this one is the premium. So the correct answer here is A. What is A? Since A is pointed inside, this one is what we call the cotyledons. The cotyledons store most of the energy. So A points inside, which will qualify to be our answer. So our answer there is A. Let's look at the next question, which is our 27, which says, which statement best applies to organisms that produce asexually? So if an organism produces asexually, what are some of the things? They might be of different heights, but one thing that is common is that since they are producing asexually, they are genetically identical because they are coming from one parent. So we have the offsprings are genetically identical. Looking at 28, the diagram shows how a large number of carrot plants can be produced from small pieces of carrot roots. So we have the root of carrot plant. we have the pieces of carrot roots are removed. We have all these diagrams. Now, which of the following is correct for this method of planting or of plant production? Now, if we are removing from the main plant, automatically that one is asexual reproduction. So asexual reproduction is one of the options. So the answer is either A, B, C, excluding D. Now, since it's asexual, automatically there will be genetically identical offspring. So the answer is C from that elimination. So cells division by mitosis, which correspond, mitosis is the one that leads to this type of division. Cell division by meiosis. So the answer here is our C. Question 29. What is the function of the sepals of most plant flowers? The sepals prevent what we call desiccation. What is desiccation? Just drying up. So what are they protecting? So the sepals just protect the ovary, which is the internal female parts of the plant. So the answer is C. Question 30. The diagram shows the type of flower. So we have the ovary, we have the anthers, then the stigma is lying outside. So then identify the method of pollination that occurs in the flower. So in this flower, since the stigmas are lying like that, the stigmas are lying like this, and also these are anthers which are loose, okay, which are loose. This means to say this one is a wind pollinated, because they don't even look strong, so that even pollen can fall. So this one is wind pollination, because they can easily be moved by the wind. Looking at 31, we have, during the menstrual cycle, hormone M is released in the body to stimulate the production of ova. This is then followed by increase of hormone N, which brings about ovulation. What are the names of hormones M and N? So if you look at hormone M, the one that leads to the production of the ova is what we call follicle stimulating hormone, which is the character, it produces follicles which more like contain the ovaries. So the correct answer is C from that. But away from that, we also know that hormone N brings about ovulation. What brings about ovulation is the luteinizing hormone, which corresponds to option C. Question 32. Which of the following methods of birth control involves prevention of ejaculation into the vagina? So for this one, we have, so the options, we have intrauterine device, we also have the rhythm method, we have the spermicide, and the withdrawal method. So for this one, ejaculation is the prevention of more like releasing semen into ejaculation is removing the removal of semen. So the one that prevents the secretion of semen into the vagina is what we call the withdrawal method. So the correct answer for 32 is D. 33. We are told, which of the following characteristic is an example of continuous variation? Now, continuous variation has got intermediates. Like, for example, if we're talking about the color of the skin, you will find that this one is brown, this one is a bit brown than the other, like that. So there are a lot of intermediates. Now, for discontinuous, it's just when you are male, you are male. If you are female, you are female. The blood, you are either blood group A, B, and all that. So the correct answer, the one that has got a lot of intermediates, it's height. So height is a continuous variation. One might be this high, high, high. In between, there is always those intermediates. There are a lot of differences. That's what it means for continuous. So we have The diagram for 34, the diagram shows one of the stages of mitosis. So we have the chromatids separate and move to opposite ends. Now, if chromatids separate and move to opposite ends, this one is what we call, since they are being pulled apart, this is what we call anaphase. You can just use the word ana, or a, the first letter for away. So anaphase is away. You can just say anaphase is away. So the answer here is A. 35. Which of the following organisms can be classified as having a body which is not segmented but having four pairs of legs? So we have frog, insect, millipede, ticks. So now, considering the fact that this one is not segmented, millipede cannot be the answer. A frog does not have 4 pairs of legs. 4 pairs of legs means that's 8 legs. An insect has got 6, so the correct answer here is a tick. D. Looking at the next question, which is question 36, which says that which of the following is not a method of improving and retaining soil fertility? So we have conservation farming. Conservation, to conserve is to protect. So this one would. We have crop rotation, which could be, and also weeding. Some weed is just something, an unwanted plant. Sometimes a weed might be useful. So crop harvesting, when you remove crops, you are not improving the soil. So it's crop harvesting. Looking at 37, the diagram shows the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen in the atmosphere converted, if we look at this one, converted into ammonia. We also have the root nodules of the nitrogen. Now, amino acids and proteins in plants and animals, these could just die. Then they begin to decay and they form ammonia. So this one is not. We are asked, in which stage of nitrogen cycle are nitrogen fixing bacteria important? So these are important. The nitrogen fixing bacteria are important in stages 2 and 3, because if you look at 4 is more like these could just decay. But for the ones root nodules of legumes, this is where the nitrogen fixing bacteria stay, and also the conversion of nitrogen in the atmosphere to ammonium is done by nitrogen fixing bacteria. So the options here are 2 and 3. If you look at 5, the conversion of nitrates, no, that's not correct. So the correct answer here is 2 and 3. So the answer here is B. 38, we are told that which of the following would be an effect of clearing large forests for agricultural purposes? So if you clear a large area, firstly we can talk about desertification and all that. So we have air pollution would increase. We would first chew and identify all the options. Air pollution would increase. The variety of organisms in an area would decrease. The variety of species in an area would increase. So the best answer for this one is C. The variety of organisms in an area would decrease, because you are taking away their habitats, in which they will either run away, some will even die in the process. 39. Which human activity is likely to contribute to most of the global warming? Now, global warming, we are looking at temperature. We are looking at temperature for global warming. So the temperature, since we are looking at the temperature, it has to do with something that contributes to a general increase in the temperature. So let's look at emission from burning fossil fuels. This contributes to global warming. Now let's look at B, non-biodegradable plastics. No, that does not necessarily contribute to global warming. Pollution due to insecticides, no. So the best option here is A, because we are looking at the burning increases the temperature. So for question 40, we are saying that the following are economic reasons for maintaining biodiversity, except biodiversity, bio means life, diversity means there are a lot of organisms. So this means that the biodiversity, which one? We are told the following are economic reasons for biodiversity, except. So just from the onset, automatically, deforestation is the answer. If you look at medicinal purposes, biodiversity contributes to medicinal purposes. It is a source of food and tourism. So those were the answers for 2025 GCE Biology. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hope you would subscribe, like, and share for more.